Melanie never imagined her perfect life would shatter in an instant, but here she was, standing in the doorway of a dimly lit hotel room, her heart hammering against her ribs, as she watched the unthinkable unfold before her eyes. Her wife, Sabrina, lay tangled in the sheets with another woman, not just any woman, her best friend, Vanessa. The world tilted. The air felt heavy. Sabrina's eyes met hers, widening in shock. Melanie, she started, scrambling to cover herself, but Melanie had already turned on her heels, the bile rising in her throat. She didn't need to hear the excuses, didn't need to know how long this had been happening, because one thing was clear: her wife had betrayed her. And this was just the beginning. Melanie locked herself in their bedroom, hands shaking as she clutched her phone. She could still hear Sabrina banging on the door, pleading, "Melanie, please. Let me explain." But what was there to explain? That she had been sleeping with Vanessa behind her back, that their entire marriage had been a lie. A bitter laugh escaped Melanie's lips, then her phone buzzed. A text from Ethan, her husband, her estranged husband. "Ethan, I heard what happened. Let's talk." Her stomach twisted. Ethan and Sabrina never got along, so why was he reaching out now? Something about this felt off, but she had nothing left to lose, so, against her better judgment, she agreed to meet him. Melanie met Ethan at a secluded bar, the air between them thick with unspoken tension. He sat across from her, swirling a glass of whiskey, his sharp eyes studying her face. "You look like hell," he finally said. Melanie scoffed, leaning back in her seat. "Thanks. Just what I needed to hear." Ethan smirked, but there was something softer in his expression. "I'm not here to gloat, Melanie. I know what she did." Her stomach clenched. Of course, he knew. He had always warned her about Sabrina. But she had refused to listen. Now, here she was, heartbroken and vulnerable, sitting across from the man she had abandoned for another woman. "How long?" Ethan asked. Melanie sighed, shaking her head. "I don't know. Maybe months. Maybe longer." Ethan exhaled sharply. And with Vanessa, of all people. That was the part that stung the most. Vanessa had been her closest friend, her confidant, and now, she was the woman her wife had chosen over her. Ethan leaned forward, eyes darkening. "I have a proposition." Melanie frowned. "What kind of proposition?" His lips curved into a slow, knowing smile, "One that will make Sabrina regret ever betraying you." Melanie should have walked away. She should have told Ethan that revenge wasn't the answer. But instead, she leaned in. "I'm listening." Ethan's smirk deepened. "I know what hurts Sabrina the most," he said, voice low. "Control. She loves to be in charge. To have power over people." Melanie folded her arms. "And?" Ethan's fingers tapped against the table. "What if we take that power away?" She raised a brow. "How?" Ethan leaned closer, his voice laced with dark amusement. "By making her watch while I take what's hers." Melanie's breath caught. For a second, she wasn't sure if he meant her, but before she could ask, Ethan clarified, "Vanessa." Melanie's heart pounded. "You want to go after Vanessa?" Ethan shrugged. "Why not? She took something from you. Maybe it's time we take something from her." Melanie hesitated. This was dangerous, twisted, but deep down, a part of her whispered, maybe Sabrina deserved it. So, against her better judgment, she agreed. Ethan didn't waste time. The very next day, he made his move. He showed up at Vanessa's gym, all charm and effortless confidence. She noticed him immediately. How could she not? Ethan was the kind of man who commanded attention, tall, dangerous, the complete opposite of what Vanessa was used to, and that's what made him irresistible. By the time he left, Vanessa had given him her number, and just like that, the trap was set. Melanie watched from a distance as Vanessa and Ethan sat together at a cafe, laughter, light touches, flirty smiles, and then, just as planned, Sabrina walked in. Her entire body went rigid. Vanessa hadn't seen her yet, but Sabrina had seen everything. Melanie could practically feel the anger radiating from her wife's body. For the first time, Sabrina was the one watching from the outside. And Melanie, she wasn't sure if she felt satisfied or sick that night. Melanie expected a fight when she got home. She expected Sabrina to explode, to beg, to accuse. Instead, Sabrina was waiting in the living room, calm and composed. "I know what you're doing," she said simply. Melanie froze. Sabrina stood, walking toward her. "You think this will hurt me? Ethan and Vanessa?" Melanie swallowed hard. "It doesn't?" Sabrina stopped inches from her face, her gaze unreadable. Then, in a voice so quiet it sent chills down Melanie's spine, she whispered, "You don't understand the game you just started." And for the first time, Melanie was afraid. Ethan was winning, Vanessa was hooked, and Sabrina, she was unraveling, or so Melanie thought, until one night, when she saw them together, Sabrina and Ethan, not arguing, not fighting, talking. Their heads close, their voices low, and then, Sabrina smiled, a knowing, wicked smile, and suddenly, Melanie realized, she wasn't in control anymore. Sabrina was. Melanie confronted Ethan. What the hell was that? She demanded. Ethan leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "What? You and Sabrina?" she snapped. "I saw you." Ethan sighed. "Mel, you didn't think she'd just let us win, did you?" Melanie's stomach twisted. "What are you saying?" Ethan exhaled. "She made a counteroffer." Silence. Melanie's breath hitched. "And you took it?" Ethan's gaze met hers, unreadable. And then, he nodded, just like that. Her world shattered again. The one person she thought she could trust, had betrayed her, too. Melanie stormed out, her chest tightening with rage. Sabrina had played them both. And Ethan, he had let her. She should have seen it coming, she should have known. But now it was her turn. If they thought she was done fighting, they were dead wrong. Because this time, she wasn't playing games. This time, she was going to end it, once and for all. Melanie didn't cry this time. She didn't beg. She didn't even scream. Instead, she plotted. If Ethan and Sabrina thought they could play her, they were dead wrong. She started with Vanessa. Late that night, she sent a message, one that would shake Vanessa's entire world. "Melanie, Sabrina is playing you. She and Ethan made a deal. You were never special to her." Minutes later, her phone buzzed. "Vanessa, liar." "I don't believe you," Melanie smirked. Oh, but she would, because Vanessa was about to see the truth for herself. Vanessa was already suspicious, the way Sabrina had been acting, distant, secretive. So the next day, she followed her, and that's when she saw it, Sabrina and Ethan, together, at a hotel, laughing, touching, whispering like lovers. Vanessa's world crumbled. She had been a pawn in their twisted game, and now, she wanted revenge. Vanessa was the perfect weapon. She was angry, heartbroken, desperate to make Sabrina pay. So when Melanie proposed a plan, Vanessa didn't hesitate. She agreed. Together, they would destroy Sabrina and Ethan's game. They just had to wait for the perfect moment, and that moment was coming very soon. Sabrina had planned a private dinner, just her, Ethan, Vanessa, and Melanie. She thought she was in control. She thought she had won, until Vanessa stood up and placed her phone on the table, and pressed play, a recording of Sabrina and Ethan admitting everything, laughing about their betrayal. Sabrina's face drained of color, Ethan's jaw tightened, and then, chaos. Vanessa slapped Sabrina, Ethan cursed and stormed out, and Melanie, she just smiled, because finally, she had won. Sabrina begged, cried, apologized, but Melanie was done. No more second chances, no more forgiveness. She packed her bags, looked Sabrina in the eye, and said, "You lost me." And this time, she meant it. Months passed. Sabrina tried to reach out, but Melanie never answered. Vanessa moved on, Ethan disappeared, and Melanie, she finally found peace, because sometimes, the best revenge is walking away, and never looking back.
Please subscribe, like, comment and share this video. It means a lot to us. Thank you.